everyone. My name is Kimberly Moore. Welcome to the second of two professional webinars that I have created as part of my dissertation in practice. Our topic today is student engagement. Before we begin, I wanted to mention that many of the strategies that you will see here were originated for traditional classrooms. I have done my best to feature strategies that can be adapted to both large and small learning groups. What is student engagement? The term student engagement refers to the degree of attention, curiosity, interest, optimism, and passion that students show when they are learning or being taught, which extends to the level of motivation they have to learn and progress in their education. Why is student engagement important? It increases attention and focus. It motivates learners to engage in higher level critical thinking, and it leads to increased levels of student achievement. Let's take a look at a few of the researchers who have made notable contributions to the topic of student engagement. There is no formula for teaching. The tools every teacher uses are different, and they adapt them differently. That is one of the beautiful things about the profession. Doug Lemoff. Doug Lemoff is the author of the Teach Like a Champion professional development series. He is currently the managing director of the Uncommon Schools. He was inspired to write his book through observing the effective teachers he had at Harvard Business School. The first strategy I wanted to feature from the Teach Like a Champion series is called SLANT. This acronym can be used to help students remember what they should be doing while an instructor is giving a lesson. S stands for sit up tall. L stands for listen. The students are quiet and taking in information. A stands for ask and answer questions. The students are ready to be called on at any time. N stands for nod and note. The students are following along and taking notes while the instructor is speaking. And T stands for track the speaker. The students are able to follow the speaker's movements as they move about the room. In this clip, we will watch as a teacher reviews the SLANT procedure with her class.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and review SLANT to make sure that everybody understands SLANT. So SLANT are 5 behaviors, and there's an acronym for the behaviors. So who can tell me what does the S stand for in SLANT?
Sit up straight.
Sit up straight. Great. And what does the L stand for? Listen. What does the A stand for?
Ask questions.
And it also stands for? Acknowledge the speaker. You can be thinking about the questions you need to ask, but you continue acknowledging the speaker, okay? All right, what about the N? What does the N stand for?
Nod your head.
Nod your head. And why are we nodding our head? Just so that what? To show that we understand or to show that I'm listening. Very good. And then track the speaker. What does T stand for?
Track the speaker.
All right, now we're going to practice, all right? When I say slant, I want y'all to give me a slant with a little pop to it, all right? All right, slant. All right, now, I love the way you guys are tracking the speaker. Keep tracking me. Keep tracking me. Keep tracking me, Giovanni. Now, what's the purpose of tracking the speaker? What's the purpose of tracking the speaker?
To show that you listening.
To show that you're listening. Very good. Keep tracking me. Keep tracking me. Because I might be teaching from the walls and I need your undivided attention, right? Keep tracking me. Keep tracking me. All right, very good. Who can tell me the scientific method? What are the 5 parts of the scientific method?
Question, hypothesis, material, and procedure, results, and conclusion.
Now, how does SLANT help?
It helps by helping us focus.
Helping you
and
focus?
Taking away all distractions.
Taking away all distractions. Okay, let's try it one more time. When I ask you guys to slant, I need you to slant. I want your undivided attention. Slant. Very good. Give yourself a round of applause.
The second strategy I wanted to feature is called STAR. This acronym is similar to SLANT with a few adaptations. S stands for sit up tall, T stands for track the speaker, A stands for ask and answer questions, and R stands for respect those around you. The students are aware of their surroundings and not distracting others. The main difference between SLANT and STAR is the age group that it is appropriate for. SLANT is more appropriate for older students who are able to write and take notes, whereas STAR can be used with any age group. If we take on the responsibility of teaching, we accept the responsibility of making sure that every kid learns as well as he or she possibly can. Carol Ann Tomlinson. Carol Ann Tomlinson is known for her work on differentiated instruction. She is the author of over 17 books on differentiation and curriculum. Her book, The Differentiated Classroom, Responding to the Needs of All Learners, is in its second edition as of 2016. Differentiation can be broken down into 3 categories of student needs: student readiness, student interest, and student learning profile. The learning profile can be further broken down into subcategories including gender, cultural background, learning style, and intelligence preferences. In this clip, Ms. Tomlinson speaks on how to get started with differentiated instruction.
A fairly common question among teachers who are beginning to consider differentiation to learn about it in a formal kind of way is, boy, there's a lot there. How do I get going? What do I do first? And I think the most honest answer to that is teachers are not any more alike than kids are. And some teachers get a big picture and they say, wow, see how I can change everything over the course of the next month, and I'm going to do this and then this, and it'll all fit together and it's wonderful. And other folks are looking for a very tiny little first step. I think what matters is that we start, not that we start in any particular way. And it's an odd kind of thing with the classroom. I think we understand that Tiger Woods wasn't born with the golf club in his hand, hitting holes in one the first day he was out. He's become wonderful because he's practiced longer and harder than anybody else and brought his talent out that way. Somehow in teaching, we think we're supposed to get it all right next week or get it all right the first day, and if we can't be wonderful, then we just sort of give it up and quit. And clearly that never helps us grow, and it'll never help our students. So what matters is that we start, not where we start. But having said that, I think a pretty good way to start slowly is to spend some time, a month, a marking period, just studying your students. Watch them more than you ever have before. Take some notes in a systematic way. Use sticky notes when you go around the classroom observing, and see what signals they give you about what they need. Or just start with pre-assessment. Develop a simple pre-assessment, but one that really aligns with what the student should know, understand, and be able to do. And give that pre-assessment to the students when the unit begins. You'll find they're all over the place. May not know what to do about that, but you'll have a little impetus to start thinking about it. And if we just pre-assessed in front of every unit for 2 or 3 or 4 units, I think we'd find ourselves naturally not so much saying there's this mysterious thing called differentiation, where in the book does it tell me how to start, but I see students with this need and here's a way I can get at it. Another thing teachers worry about with differentiation when they begin is this must be the most time-consuming thing in the world. I just don't know how I could possibly do anything with so many parts. And the truth is there are many very small things you can do that make a great difference for students. Would make a huge difference for most of our kids if we built in time every day or two to sit down with a group of 5 or 6 kids for 10 minutes to pick their brains, see where they are, extend something, reteach something in a different way than the one that didn't work the day before. That one simple thing, which takes almost no planning time, could make a very big difference. It's not so hard sometimes to be able to say, you know what, I've got some kids who are stuck on this and some others who need some work here. There's a way I could assign 2 homework assignments. Many times our homework's not something we generate, it's in a book or something anyhow. And sometimes that would give kids a chance to patch potholes, to move ahead. So kind of a nice formula, I think, for thinking about starting if you're serious about it, is to choose maybe 3 or 4 of those low preparation things like meeting with small groups in the classroom. And use those regularly, every week, use them. And then every marking period, develop one higher prep strategy, like a learning contract or a tiered lesson or a raft assignment or something that you invent on your own. And if you did that for a full year, you'd have 3 or 4 low prep things that were absolutely second nature to you. You'd have 4 high quality, high prep things. And then you come in for year 2. Remember again, Tiger Wood didn't get it after the first year of practice. And so you take out the 3 or 4 low prep things you had and add 3 or 4 more low prep to that. Each marking period, pull out the one high prep thing from the time before and polish it a little bit and create one more high prep piece. End of that year, you've got 8 high prep things that are pretty good and 6 or 8 low prep things. If you did that for 5 years, you'd really have a repertoire, but more to the point, it would begin to feel natural to you and it would not sink your ship. Teaching is really not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you can't sprint the whole 100 miles, you really have to kind of pace yourself. What we don't want to do is say, if I can't do it all perfectly, I just won't do anything. So starting is what really matters most, I think.
Now we are going to look at a few small group instructional strategies that teachers and tutors can use to increase student engagement. What is small group instruction? Small group learning may be defined as a group of learners demonstrating 3 common characteristics: active participation, a specific task, and reflection. Why is small group important? It helps address gaps in student knowledge, encourages self-directed learning, it allows for students to engage with a range of perspectives from their peers. Small group gives students the opportunity to test their ideas and attitudes with their peers. It helps promote a willingness for students to share their ideas. Small group also provides opportunities for students to give and receive feedback. And it helps students develop skills in critical thinking and problem solving, as well as communication, teamwork, and leadership. Let's take a look at a few of the research-based strategies related to small group instruction. Items to consider when planning small group reading instruction. Small group time should include instruction. It can be informed by your standards, curriculum, and knowledge of student needs. It is important to provide a balance of instruction and application. Instruction about a specific skill may be needed, but student practice is also beneficial. We can use small group reading instruction as an opportunity to build world knowledge by using a variety of texts from multiple subject areas. It is vital to use multiple grouping strategies that allow the groupings to be flexible based on current needs in your learning group and supported by student data that you have collected. Another item to consider when planning small group reading instruction is the weight of teacher expectations. We can assist our students with this by placing a limit on how much the students know about their grouping or level, and we should always strive to help the students understand that these levels and groups will change as they grow and develop their reading confidence. Fine-tuning time management is also an important element of planning that we can always improve by observing and documenting our daily routines to help find time for small group instruction throughout the school day, and by allowing students who are working independently and in other small groups productive and meaningful choices during learning time. And it is vital to make research-informed decisions about the technology that we will use in our learning environment by investigating the programs before we decide to use them and limiting the usage to only the recommended time frame for each program. In this clip, we will view an example of small group work using the I choose planning strategy.
It's all about time. Good teachers know that they need to differentiate. It's just something that we have to do. But finding the time and carving that time out of the day to meet with those small groups can be very, very difficult. So to have it actually built into our day, where there's a set time for half an hour to pull those small groups, it's wonderful.
Hang on, I did that wrong.
Oh, okay. So I know that it's working, and I know that there's so much growth going on in this class. We're seeing huge gains that we wouldn't normally see with just a whole group lesson once a day.
Teachers kept coming to me and saying, Cole, we need to have time to be able to work with these kids in small groups, but I have classrooms of 32 to 37. How do we do that? We put our heads together. We started looking at the schedule and providing opportunities where kids were going to other places while leaving some to do some response to intervention or small group differentiation with. We have our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders who have the opportunity to, if they did their homework, they were doing well, they got to choose. This is where the I choose comes from. They got to choose between going to PE or computer lab or library or music.
C, E, D, F, D, F, 1, 2, ready, soft.
Now, where the teacher had the I choose, they get to take a small group in which she's identified or he's identified as needing a specific skill, then being able to work with those students during that last 30 minutes that have specific skills that we're trying to progress monitor, benchmark, and move them forward with.
Okay, so that's 125 we have.
So in my classroom, the kids at the end of our math lesson have a formative assessment, and it's usually 4 questions. And it covers the concepts that we did that day. And I grade them very quickly, and I am able to determine who understood what we were doing that day and who didn't. So the kids that got usually an 80% or higher, they go to their I choose for that day. The kids that didn't will stay here with me.
We do a pre-test, and sometimes if you get one wrong, she helps you on it.
Okay, so I'm here to help. And we're gonna play some blackjack. Poker face is on, okay. Poker face is on. And we usually just go over the same lesson over again. I take out the manipulatives, we play games. It's visual for them and kinesthetic. But we have 951 thousands. Can we give her a round of applause? She is definitely closest to 1.
Last time I didn't get the decimals right. She helped us on the homework part, and she taught us how to do the decimals in a easier way.
And I want you to think right now, how would I say this number?
The teacher head choose is actually a great time to close those skill gaps and make them proficient and make them successful, which makes everyone happy. The ebb and flow of I choose changes every single day based upon not only the performance but also how they did in class and what the teacher feels is best for the child. We even have kids in 5th and 6th grade who take their half an hour, and their I choose is going to help out first graders in the RTI process, whether that's doing flashcards to help them with their sight words or letter names or whatever it may be, The teachers are happy because they were the push for it. They were the ones that wanted the time. We were able to find it for them. What we're hearing from kids is they absolutely love it. Byproduct is they're paying attention more in class. They're pushing themselves to make sure that they get to choose where they want to go. Those kids that are struggling, we're able to now create proficiency, move them forward. That's what lets us know it's working.
In this clip, we will view an example of a small group rotation with differentiation in a first grade classroom.
Look at all these great volunteers. Go ahead. Yes, nice job. So the impact of differentiation, the students feel successful. They feel supported. They know if something is difficult for them, there's something that's a little more in line with their strengths coming up soon. So it really makes education fun and approachable. I really think it's the most effective way that I have seen to teach.
The vision and the mission of Highlander is to use innovative practice as a social catalyst. We want our kids to be able to do anything any other kid from Providence could do.
We use differentiation all across the curriculum here at Highlander, and especially in the first grade. Although the content is the same, having the stations really allows me to tailor my lessons to each individual group of learners. So how the differentiation looks in my classroom, we start off with a whole group lesson.
So let's get our reading glasses on. Let's get the letter part of our brains activated.
This section of our curriculum, we have been looking at nonfiction texts. When we're looking at our book today, we're going to be thinking about where we can get information. And then in the phonics realm, we focused on contractions.
We're taking two words, and what are we sticking them together with?
Apostrophe.
Yes, Karen. Good
and then we break off into our small groups. So our yellow group is still learning how to do a lot of our literacy things. The green group is doing pretty well, but has a few things to work on still. And our blue group is hitting all the first grade standards and needs to be stretched. So our differentiation kind of takes two forms. The first is by student grouping, and the second is by modality of learning. We have 20 minutes per station, and there are 3 of the stations. The students will rotate through all 3 stations each day.
So our first station for the blue group is the computer station.
The students use a Google form to check in. They'll normally watch a video or carefully observe a photograph and answer some questions about that.
We watched a video about how to grow a seed. We had to type in our favorite part and why.
After they finish that form, they can check out an ebook.
And then you could do this game of reading called Teacher Must Know How to Read.
We're delivering things in a way that is visual, that is auditory, that is individual to the students through the technology.
After that, she rings the bell.
Clean up, switch up, first grade readers.
We switch to the sort station.
Our sort station is more of a physical modality. They're using their bodies, which is so important for first graders. They need to move. Kids are cutting out the words, they're gluing them down.
We had a contrasting game.
It's fun because it's all mixed up and you had to find the right pieces.
And then after we do that, we do rainbow writing.
That's another way that we differentiate. If students are able to get through more work, then they have some freedom of choice.
Clean it up, switch it up.
The last station, we're talking to each other and learning from each other. So that's more of the social interaction type of modality.
I like the teacher station the most because we get to be with Miss Gallagher and we get to learn cool stuff.
So take a look at the illustrations on this page, right?
The content is the same, but it can be differentiated in a number of ways. My blue group, for example, they know what text is. They know what illustrations are. And so for them, I create a Venn diagram.
You need to make one circle like this, and then you make another circle overlapping that.
Oh! For the yellow or the green group, I'm just leaving the Venn diagram out of it. We're still doing essentially the same thing, but just that piece that might be confusing to some of those students, I just leave that out for a later time. They'll get to it.
All right, so clean up and meet me in the middle of the rug for writing. Nice work, first grade.
Being able to move through those stations, it's just another level of helping the students learn as much as they can each year. They really feel excited when they make that growth.
They're proud of themselves. They feel like they're effective learners. As a teacher, honestly, it is a lot of work, but the results that you see in the happy faces of the kids and the good feeling that you have in the classroom is worth it.
To recap, we have learned that student engagement increases attention and focus, motivates learners to engage in higher level critical thinking, and leads to increased levels of student achievement. We have reviewed various research-based strategies by Lemov and Tomlinson. We have learned that small group instruction includes active participation, a specific task, and opportunities for reflection. And we have reviewed specific examples of small group planning and learning exercises. Thank you for your time and attention today. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me using the email address on the screen.